Welcome to All Ball with Ezekiel, the show where we bring you NBA basketball through the lens of the average Nigerian. Today we react to the blockbuster, mind-bending trade between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, trading Luka to LA, trading AD to the Dallas Mavericks, the effect it's going to have on both teams, and of course the league at wide. This is literally the biggest trade, one of the biggest trades in NBA history. Before we start, it's a bit to the run. Please like, subscribe, please give it a thumbs up. Follow us on IG at allball.ng to stay connected with all our latest updates. And with that, let's get right into it because today's episode is hot.
The ball, when it bounces, the sound that it makes, the smell of the basketball, then I love it. Absolutely love it.
The Lakers just pulled off the biggest heist since maybe Paul Gasol. They are sending Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round draft pick to the Dallas Mavericks. The first-round draft pick is 2029. Keep in mind, Lakers still have another first-round draft pick. So imagine all the Dallas Mavericks are getting is Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and one first-round draft pick. Anthony Davis is 31, and is also we're familiar with his injury history. How exactly did the Lakers pull this off? Now, word on the street is, at least what Shams reported is, the Dallas Mavericks actually were the ones that made this call for this trade. Apparently, they were tired of Luka any. We'll get into that much later. But for now, focusing on the Los Angeles Lakers and what this means for them. This is like getting prime Magic Johnson, but with a step back three and better offense. That is what this means. Of course, it's a bittersweet moment for every Los Angeles Lakers fan. Why? Because as much as AD was inconsistent, as much as it frustrated our lives, just how the ups and the hills and the valleys with AD, it is still, we felt his defensive impact. Forget the fact that AD never won a Defensive Player of the Year. AD is a historically great defensive player. AD is a defensive flaw. Like, what that means is, on his worst day, he's still a better defensive player than 90% of the entire league. On a bad day, that's just how good his defense is. And of course, on a good day, he's one of the best defenders ever in NBA history. AD is the reason why, when I say AD, I mean AD alone. Forget coaches' strategy, forget, players on the court. AD alone was the reason why our defense has been respectable over the years. Aside from the 2020 season where we had, Dwight Howard was still on form, we had Kuz, we had Danny Green, we had some athletic wing players, we had many bigs. Since then, our defense has been mediocre, except for Anthony Davis. He's the one who has kept us afloat, kept us competitive on the defensive end. Right, so to lose him is major, because right now there is no replacement for Anthony Davis. There's definitely not Jackson Hayes, definitely not Dorian Finney-Smith, definitely not anybody coming off the bench. So there is a gap, there is a prism, there is a vacuum that he has left on the defensive side that needs to be filled, right? But we're getting Luka Dončić. Now, it is no secret that LeBron has loved Luka since the days of, even before Luka had a shoe deal, trying to get him to join his brand. But of course, eventually, we know that Luka eventually signed with the Jordan brand. So since whenever, we know that LeBron has always been a fan of Luka, always wanted him on his teams. Even the times when the All-Star setting was you pick who's going to be on your team, we see LeBron show. He has just been open about his love for Luka. So we know that there's definitely going to be, and of course their play styles are very, very, very similar, right? If you look at how LeBron plays, look at how Luka plays, one could argue that even their career trajectory has been similar. And because they're both, Luka is more score first than LeBron, but they're both very good at scoring and playmaking. So when you combine both of that, you know that this gives LeBron the opportunity he has always been waiting for with Anthony Davis, to take that back seat, to allow somebody now take the lead and be the number one. Of course, at LeBron's age, he doesn't want to have to carry that offensive burden throughout the regular season and then throughout the playoffs. So this gives LeBron that opportunity to take his foot off the gas. He's an old man. He's 40 years old. He doesn't want to be playing all the defense and carrying all the offense. So this is perfect for the Lakers. It makes so much sense for them when you consider what it does for them on the offensive side. When they won in 2020, LeBron was still at his peak. so was Anthony Davis, even offensively, right? So when you combine that with their level of defense at that time, it was a no-brainer why they won the championship in the bubble. But since then, they lost their bigs. AD fell off a cliff, LeBron got older, and the offense has never been the same. So whenever they went up against players like Jokic, and they never had the best offensive player in the series. We know that, of course, LeBron was still playing at an all-star, all-NBA level in the playoffs, but it was never, whenever he went up against the best of the best, the Jokic's, even the Lukas, it was clear that, okay, LeBron was not the best offensive player. But now they go into every series with arguably the best offensive player. To make it even better, not only can Luka carry them throughout the regular season, we also know that Luka raises his ceiling in the playoffs. I think Luka's playoff average is somewhere, I think he's either second or third all-time in playoff scoring, in terms of like the averages, not the entire playoff scoring, in terms of averages per game. So this gives LeBron the opportunity to be like, okay, I know that I have somebody who I can depend on a night-to-night basis. That was one of our struggles with Anthony Davis. You could not depend on AD. AD would give you MVP production this game. The next game, you're like, who is this? Where did they find this guy? Right. So it was one of the frustrating parts of being a Laker fan, just having to endure, the whole valleys and hills with Anthony Davis. But now we know that for certain, on offense, we are solid, because we still manage, somehow we kept Reeves, which is, Reeves has also been a pillar of consistency for us over the years, especially since his breakout season. So when you combine that, we still have LeBron James, who is playing at, let's say, all-star, third team all-NBA level. You have Reeves, and now you have Luka Dončić. Our offense is sorted. We have Dorian Finney-Smith to give us 3 and D. We have Rui Hachimura coming off the bench. I'm not surprised why the Lakers did this. It gives them somebody to carry their franchise, be the face of their franchise after LeBron leaves. It's a no-brainer. But for Dallas, you have to wonder why. Luka is legit the best player to have ever donned a Dallas Maverick jersey. Why did they let him go? So one of Shams, many reports coming out are saying that they were tired of him. They didn't feel they could win with him, which is crazy when you think about it, because you legit just went to the first finals, your first finals appearance since 2011. 2011 was 2025. That was last year, 2024. That's about 13 years. Right, your first finals in 13 years, off the back of this 25-year-old. This guy has been all NBA every season he's been in the league except his rookie year. He already has more first-team all NBAs than Steph Curry, than Kevin Durant. We can see that his trajectory is definitely all-time great. We can see his playoff performances since his first playoff series till his last playoff series, where he was literally the only plus on your team against the Celtics. So why trade him away? So the report that they didn't feel they could win with him, obviously because of his defensive limitations, many of which were really exposed in the Celtics series. Of course, we saw how everybody was blowing past him. They were picking on him on defense. So there is a legitimate case to be made about Luka's defense. Luka's defense is atrocious. Let's call it as it is. His defense is horrible, but his offense it's easier to replace. Everything is easier. It is easier. If you've ever played basketball before, trust me, it's easier to play defense than offense. Defense is more of a 1-2. It's more of a willpower kind of thing. You can make up for a lot of your deficiencies athletically and physically with a lot of willpower, a lot of grit, a lot of just wanting to. But offense, you need skill for offense. You need skill. You need either you have great skill or you have great athleticism and at least medium to average skill. So offense is obviously harder than defense, but still, so one of the things that they're reporting is, Luka's inability to control his weight. Apparently, his weight got up to 270, right? And that's one of the reasons for his injury that made him ineligible for any awards this current season. But even if you look at all of that, his production. But of course, they replaced him with Anthony Davis clearly, right? And Anthony Davis, we know what he brings to the table. Everything that Luka could not bring. Right, they're literally polar opposites. AD is a power forward center. Luka is a point guard, shooting guard. AD brings historic defense. Luka Dončić brought historic offense. So we know that in terms of the fit, AD will be a good fit with the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, he's playing with Kyrie, he's playing with Klay Thompson. And we also know that AD is somebody who has never wanted to play center. Now he gets the opportunity to play his four because he has Daniel Gafford, he has Derek Lively who play that center position and play it well. Because those boys have been balling, let's be honest. So of course he gets to play his coveted four position. But I'm sure this trade took him by surprise because where is the loyalty? Right, especially for the Dallas Mavericks. So this is, I mean, it was no secret that everybody thought Luka was the guy going to replace Dirk as the franchise cornerstone. But still, when you look at the fit, you can't lie, it is a good fit. You have Kyrie, you have Klay Thompson, you have Grimes, you have AD, you have either Gafford or Lively. That is a solid starting five. But when you look at the bigger picture, you look at the playoffs, none of these players has ever succeeded at being a number one. Not Klay, not Kyrie, definitely not Anthony Davis. Right? They've all always had that number one player that led the way, and they now play that supporting cast role. So it's going to be interesting to see what this dynamic looks like, where you put a bunch of number twos on the same team. But of course, these are high caliber number twos, not just random. These are high caliber championship. What's also interesting is they've all won championships as number two. Klay has won a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Kyrie won with Cleveland Cavaliers, and AD won with the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this looks like. But now let's look at the individual players. First of all, Anthony Davis. I think it was last week, he did a post-game interview where he was complaining about how he didn't want to play the center position. AD has been vocal about his desire to play the number four since forever. But of course, the teams are always best when he plays number five because he's such a historically great player that it takes away from his greatness when he doesn't play the center, because now he's sharing that mid-post area with another big who cannot shoot. Most bigs cannot really shoot. So that takes away from his ability to defend, because AD can legit defend all five positions from point guard, shooting guard to center. Right? So when he plays the four, it doesn't maximize his potential. But of course, we also know that him playing the five causes him to take a lot of beating, and that's why he rather play the four. So we sort of understand that chain of thought. But what does this mean? I'd like to hear from you guys. What do you think this means for the Los Angeles Lakers? Does this improve their chances, or does it just break even? You lose great defense, you gain great offense. And do you think the Dallas Mavericks can make it work with a group of number twos? Right? Of course, you never know what's possible till it happens. Right? But I'd like to hear what you guys think. Can Kyrie lead? Who is even going to be the leader of this team? Is it Kyrie? Is it Klay Thompson? Is it Anthony Davis? Because all of them are veterans. All of them have championships. All of them have. But of course, the strongest personality is still Kyrie. But let's see who would emerge as the leader of this team. It's going to be very interesting because now, if you look at it from a standpoint of the build-up of the team, they are complete. You have your point guard, you have your shooting guard, you have your small forward, you have your power forward, and you have your center. And every person at all those positions are solid. Maybe Grimes might be the weakest point, but still, that's still a solid starting five when you look at it. So what does this mean? Where does this change the trajectory of the Dallas Mavericks, especially for this season? I think this might sound controversial, but I think they will break even. I think they will finish in standings wise. I think they will finish at a similar place to where they finished last season. But in the playoffs is going to be very tricky to sort of predict where they'll end up, because that playoffs is also dependent on matchups, who they match up with. If they match up with OKC or they match up with Denver, different things will be required. AD can dominate if they match up with OKC, but if they match up with Denver, we know that Nikola Jokic will outplay AD, or at least play him to a stand. No, he will outplay AD, or at least play him to a standstill. Right, so what does this mean? I believe that Dallas Mavericks are not going to pass the second round. But for the Lakers, I struggle to predict. I think it's to wait and see what other trades they make, because if the Lakers are able to get a Jeremy Grant or a Walker Kessler or a Lauren Marketing from the Jazz or from Portland, because they desperately need to fill that defensive gap that Anthony Davis leaving has created. They definitely need to fill that. If they're able to fill that, then no doubt they become championship caliber immediately. But if they're not, to me, I do not think you can win with Anthony Davis and this version of LeBron James when your defense is as bad as it is. I think they still need another piece to bring it all together. You still need one more defensive piece, right? Who is not just, they need an all-star defensive kind of player, so getting Drew would be redundant, right? Because where would Reeves play? But they need a big, right? Because now they don't have any great big. So if the Lakers can fill that big position with somebody who is solid, I think this guy, I think they immediately become championship contenders if they can fill that position. One thing we know for certain is this changes the entire landscape of the NBA, and we are in for a treat. So that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for showing up and supporting All Ball, where basketball meets Nigerian passion. See you guys next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, let us know what you think and how we can improve on this moving forward. See you guys next time.